In the early hours of a rainy Thursday, Sarah was halfway through a quiet shift as a 911 dispatcher. Her home was silent. Her husband Mark was away on business, and her only company was a steady rhythm of emergency calls. The next call that flashed on her screen seemed routine. A young woman whispering, claiming she had heard someone trying to break into her back patio. Sarah fell into her professional rhythm. "Stay on the line with me. I've dispatched officers. They're 4 minutes out." She could hear the caller's panicked breaths, the faint creak of a door handle in the background. To keep her calm, Sarah did something she sometimes did. She described her own safe, quiet environment. "It's okay. We're going to be okay. I'm safe in my own home right now. My dog's asleep at my feet, and I can hear the rain. Just listen to my voice." That's when she heard it. A soft, clear whisper on the line, underneath the caller's breathing. It wasn't the caller. It was a low, male voice, and it said, "I like the rain too." Sarah's blood ran cold. She thought it was interference, a crossed line. She stammered, "Ma'am, did you say something?" The caller, confused, said no. Sarah, her professional facade cracking, quickly muted her mic from the call. She had to think. Her heart pounding, Sarah unmuted. She continued to guide the caller, her voice now tight with fear. To test the theory, she deliberately shared another harmless detail. "It's going to be all right. I just checked, and my back door is locked up tight." She waited. 5 seconds of silence. Then the whisper returned, closer, clearer, as if right next to the microphone. "Mine isn't." Terror, pure and absolute, seized her. This wasn't a crossed line. The voice was reacting to her, in her home. She had been describing her environment to a potential victim, and someone in her own house had been listening. She looked at the security system panel across the room. It glowed green, all secure. But the voice had known about her back door. With trembling hands, she typed a frantic message to her supervisor on a separate terminal. "Intruder in my house. Send help to my address now." She stayed on the line, a silent, frozen statue, listening to both the terrified caller and the dead silence of her own house. 3 eternal minutes later, she saw the flashing blue and red lights reflect off her rain-streaked window. Police stormed both the caller's house and her own. The caller was safe. It had been a false alarm. But at Sarah's house, they found the back door unlocked. In the guest bedroom, Closest to her office, the window was wide open, curtains soaked with the rain, and on the hardwood floor beneath the window were fresh, wet footprints. Sarah never worked the night shift again. To this day, she wonders. When she was describing the safety of her home to a stranger, who was she describing it to? Iceland's Fimbulkul's Pass is a place of a stunning, almost alien beauty. The trail goes through a rugged, often desolate volcanic, lava-covered and icy landscape. It is a place where in Icelandic culture one adheres to respect nature. But in 2015, it became the stage for disappearance that defies all logic. Two experienced German hikers, a man and a woman, set out on a well-marked trail. They had gear for the volatile weather. They were prepared. And yet, they vanished without a trace. A massive search was launched. Helicopters scanned the lava fields. Teams scoured the trails. Days turned into weeks with nothing. Then, a break. A farmer, miles from the trail in a secluded valley, accessible only by a brutal, unmarked route, found their backpack. It was placed neatly, almost deliberately, on a rock. Inside, their passports, money, and phones were perfectly dry and intact. Their tent was found later, pitched incorrectly, as if in frantic haste. But of the hikers themselves, no sign. The investigation turned to the last digital breadcrumb, the man's phone. While it had been found in the backpack, its data had been recovered. And here, the case turned from tragic to deeply unsettling. In the hours after they went missing, someone had tried repeatedly to unlock the phone. Over 20 attempts, all failed. The search teams had the correct coordinates for the phone's last ping. They raced to that exact spot. They found nothing. No bodies, no struggle, no other gear. It was as if they had been plucked from the mountainside. The official conclusion was exposure. They got lost in a sudden fog, succumbed to the elements, and animals scattered their remains. But this doesn't explain the neatly placed backpack miles away, or the frantic, failed attempts to unlock a phone by someone who knew the passcode. Local search and rescue veterans have whispered another theory, one born of older stories from the Highlands. They speak of the Huldafolk, the hidden people, of strange, fleeting figures seen in the mist that are not human, of a feeling of being watched, followed, and deliberately led off the path. The theory possesses a terrifying scenario that the hikers were pursued, that they ran in blind terror, ditching their backpack in a place they hoped it would be found. Then one of them, in a final desperate act, tried to call for help on a dying phone but was too panicked to type the code correctly. Because whatever was hunting them was getting closer. The case remains open. The families have closure only in theory. Every year, experienced hikers vanish in Iceland's wilderness. Their cases often attributed to the harshland, with those who have been caught in a sudden Fimbulkulda's fog, who have felt the temperature drop and the visibility vanish in seconds, will tell you, in the blinding, silent whiteness, you are never quite sure what else is moving with you. And sometimes the land doesn't want to let you go. What occurred in late September 2020, I can't explain. My best friend Queen and I were up late, as was common from lockdown life during the pandemic. It was roughly 2 to 3 a.m. when we walked our normal route, as we had often that year, as we had taken up hiking and exploring in general because we are both grown professional women, and free time like this was surreal. I had discovered a small path that had a small wooden bridge that crossed a small patch of wetlands. On this path, just across the bridge, is an old worn bench. I'd often stop here and check my messages as human contact was limited during the early pandemic. The whole area felt warm and abuzz with energy. It just felt good being here. I'd often practice grounding, walking barefoot in the area nearby. It was such an inviting place. I took friends there to share this experience. That's when things started to go wrong. One of my friends, Eve, was feeling very uncomfortable and dizzy. I brushed it off because I was so excited to share this place with my friends. And Eve was often one to be a little spooked. My other two friends felt fine. Queen was there as well. To my shock, we saw two wisps zipping across the tops of the tallest grass and then nosedive straight down into the earth. We were all blown away. What a truly magical place. Eve removed her shoes and began walking to the edge of the wetlands, hoping to recreate what I had always felt days earlier. However, she began shaking. Tears ran down her cheeks and she started to leave. I asked her what was wrong and she replied, "Why did you bring me here? This place is effed up." She was very upset and we all left. Needless to say, I was pretty upset. This wasn't at all what I had imagined the night going like. Now back to our story. It was 2 a.m. or so. Queen and I were coming up to the little bridge, and we were tired and hoping to stop and sit on the bench up ahead. We didn't even make it to the first board on the bridge before we caught a glimpse of what was sitting on the bench ahead. It was a glowing human figure made up of pure white light, just sitting on our bench. The even more unusual aspect was it didn't cast any light around it. Its outline almost looked like old-school TV static. It was difficult to even focus on it, as it lacked any real features, not even eyes that we could see. I stopped dead, grabbing Queen's arm. I asked, is she's that, or am I tripping balls? She looked at me and whispers, yes. An overwhelming sense of terror hit us both. What the hell was this? My mind raced. Was this a full-bodied Fae floor? I felt it looking at us. Sitting there, we felt like we had carelessly stumbled onto something we were not supposed to see.